We're calling this meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission of the Town of Clarkdale to order. It's Tuesday, October 7th at 6:30. Gus, can we get a roll call, please?
Commissioner Westcott, Commissioner Snyder, Commissioner Mala, Vice Chair Stein,
Here.
and Chair Gabbard.
Here. Okay, the Historic Preservation Commission invites the public to provide comments at this time. Members of the Historic Preservation Commission cannot discuss anything that's not specifically identified on the agenda. However, we can direct staff to study the matter, respond to any criticism, or schedule the matter for further consideration at a later date. Do we have anyone from the public? Okay. On to the next introduction.
Good evening, commissioners. I am very pleased to introduce you to our senior planner, Clover Pinion. She comes to us from Cottonwood and has quite a bit of an experience in planning and zoning code writing and proofreading and all of those things. And obviously has some historic preservation experience with Cottonwood. So we're very happy to have her. Clover, do you want to come up and say a few things?
That would have been great. Oh, well, thanks for having me here. I'm excited to be with Clarkdale. This is a great community. I've lived in and around the Verde Valley my entire life. So the last 20 years have been in Cottonwood. Some of you that have been around in the area for a while might remember Bill Thompson from Mingus Union High School. That's my father-in-law. So married to Brian, who was born and raised here. So we've raised all of our kids here, and I'm just excited to be a part of the team. So thank you.
Yeah, welcome. Okay, next agenda item, approval of minutes from September 2nd. Does anyone have any additions or redactions to those sparse minutes? Okay, does anyone want to put forth a motion to approve the minutes as they are?
I move that we approve the minutes from September 2nd.
I second.
Those in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Okay, on to new business. So exterior design improvements and signage for the Venus tree at the Copper Art Museum.
May I ask a point of order?
Sure.
As you're going through the presentation,
Mhm.
is it appropriate to ask for clarification during the presentation when the visuals are up, or do we wait until the end?
No, we can ask when the visuals are up. This isn't a large meeting, so it's fine to have that discussion, especially because this is the first time the commission has reviewed an application for design review in the new historic preservation district by the new historic preservation ordinance. So I fully expect there will be questions, and it would be helpful to staff so that we can provide better clarity in the future to have that interaction.
So
Thank you.
just to add to that, so because Drake is a signatory to the ordinance, this makes this the major certificate of appropriateness review. Is that correct?
So signage, we would not do necessarily as an appropriate, as a certificate of appropriateness. That would be just the exterior remodel or reconstruction of the existing facade, of the original facade, excuse me. That would be the certificate of appropriateness. We can consider this in light of that, what it would be appropriate, not appropriate, and have that discussion.
Yeah, I think my question is maybe related to what are we doing here? Are we being asked to approve approve with stipulations or deny. That would be all the language in the major certificate in the ordinance.
Yes.
So is that what we're doing?
So yes, what you were doing is considering the signage, the exterior ornamentation and the sidewalk cafe, right? As it would conform to the historic preservation ordinance. Now, typically signage is not something that would go to design review. There was a recent Supreme Court case, Reed v. Gilbert. And in that case, the Supreme Court says that we can only regulate manner and placement and not content at all. So that's why it's kind of nebulous as to what we can actually approve other than manner and placement of the signage.
Okay, so just so we're all clear, the more invasive restoration project that will be proposed in the future will come in through a different permit,
Correct.
and that would be a different review process.
Right, that would be for, like I said, the restoration of the facade, which is what he is proposing to do, is to bring it back to as much of the original as possible. But that would be a completely different review than signage and sidewalk cafe.
Okay. If there are things about the sign plan that we reviewed today that we feel create issues with the plan for the larger restoration, is that something that we review
Yes.
again?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that at this point, it's legitimate to have that conversation. Again, this is the first time we've done one of these reviews. Typically in site plan review, or I'm sorry, in design review, signage is done separately. But because we don't have that in the historic preservation ordinance to take the signage separately, we put it all together.
Okay, thanks for clarifying.
Okay. So before you, you have application 250108, which is the application for new signage at Venus Tree and exterior ornamentation, and then additional signage at the Arizona Copper Arts Museum. And that signage will obviously be located on that site. So we're going to talk about Venus Tree first. So this shows the Main Street facade and shows the ornamentation, the placement of signs, and where the door signage is, where the sidewalk cafe would be, and some of the other ornamentation. So let's go to the next one. So this is the 9th Street view. You can see where the Venus Tree signage is, and also the ornamentation, and also, again, another view of the corbels under the canopy, the projecting sign, and there's a teeny tiny bit up there that shows the end of the canopy sign. So I wanted to talk about how we do the math here, because it's a bit confusing. So typically, when we measure signage, we measure the area of the sign, right? And it's generally because it's applied, the signage, the letters are applied to something, right? They're either applied to a sign board and that board is then mounted, or they're applied to plexiglass and the plexiglass is mounted in a backlit configuration or something like that. Because these are directly applied to the wall rather than having a signboard behind them of some sort, the applicant can measure them by the actual dimensions of each letter times the 2-inch wide width. So that's how we came to the calculation of the 11 foot of signage, because we've got the length of the letters, if you laid them all flat, times 2 sides, because it will be applied to the front of the building and to on Main Street, and then the 9th Street elevation. So we have that just because the verbiage in the town code, in the sign code in chapter 7, does not give us much specificity. on how it just says the sign shall be measured by the dimensions of the sign. So when we don't have an actual backing to measure, we measure it this way. All right, so this is the I'm sorry, yeah, sure.
So, and my questions may not be directly for you, so I hope the applicant is allowed to respond. So my first question is, and I'm not questioning, I'm only asking at this point, the letters, the design, or I'll start with the design of the letters to start with. So I'm curious, number one, what was the inspiration or the influence for this particular font design? The wrought iron and just the design itself. Is it contemporaneous to some particular period in Clarkdale's history? It- They're big, they're bold, and I'm just wondering, what was the inspiration for these letters?
Of the corbels on the building.
I beg your pardon?
The corbels on the building.
The corbels on the building.
Yes,
Which I believe you said that there's evidence that there were corbels at
Yes.
one time, and you have a picture of what they look like?
yes.
Okay.
It
Okay,
was enclosed in the packet.
okay, so they're, oh, I see. And have they already been fabricated or are you waiting for?
We did a test run on certain pieces.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. Whoops, back up, Gus, please. So this is the projecting sign. These signs we measure on the area of the actual sign board. So here you can see what I'm talking about when I talk about a sign board versus letters applied to the wall. We do not calculate the curves or the arch or anything like that. Just draw a box around it like I've gotten that illustration. And those are the dimensions of the sign.
So Ruth, if I were being very nitpicky, I would say, well, the 18 by 24 looks like the area occupied by the lettering, not the actual sign itself. Just a minor detail.
Yeah, I
Is
think
the-
that's the dimensions of the sign.
Okay, okay.
And again, we only count one side of a two-sided sign. I believe I had it in there at 6
Yeah.
feet, but we
Yeah.
only count one side, so we can make that adjustment.
There's a sign like that around the corner. Yeah,
Right, so there are two of them.
yeah.
All right, so the canopy sign, will be suspended from the front canopy on the Main Street facade. Obviously, even I can do this math, 9 feet long by 1 foot high equals 9 square feet. And that does meet the minimum required clearance of 9 feet.
Can I ask another tedious question? What's the inspiration or the origins of the Venus tree? And thank you. I was just reading over everything and I thought it would be really good for me to know the origins of these and I don't. So I apologize.
Sure. I sit at a lot of tourism spots and businesses and I see what tourists and businesses need and want. And what a lot of folks are looking for. One is they want an innovative idea out there. So we had to have innovation in the signage. Another was they want experimental type concepts because they seem to be working much better than the routine ones that have been around forever that nobody pays any attention to anymore. And another one is creative and entrepreneurial, also the same reason. So we took all those, put them all together, and we came up with the Venus tree. The Venus tree is to get your attention when you go through the town of Clarkdale, because nothing else has worked for decades. So I said to myself, we have to change things. Not only do we have to change things, they have to be transformational change because people are not paying attention and they're going to drive right by the building unless we do something a little bit different. Okay. Anything else?
Well, was it? I was just going to ask about the the canopy sign, I think I know the answer to this, but it just hangs from the very front of the existing canopy.
Yes, it'll be
Okay.
sort of along the length of the canopy, yes.
Okay, great, thank you.
So Venus Tree has no relation to anything in Clarkdale history. It's completely innovative. It's wild and
Only
it's,
to the Copper Museum, which is the planet Venus, all that connectivity with Copper Planet and the mythical goddess Venus, all that connectivity and thousands of years of history.
Okay, so this would be the kind of canopy sign. Like I said, we measure in this instance only the signboard, which again is 9 square feet. And it meets the minimum clearance of 9 vertical feet. It's much higher, so we're not, so this one meets the manner and placement requirements. Window or door signage is something that we calculate the area of the window and then how much lettering there is on there. And as long as it is less than 50% of the area of the window, we are good to go. So in this instance, the dimensions of an actual ADA approved door is 3 feet by 8 feet. So that gives us the window panel here is 18 by 48. And so then we get down to 6 square feet of signage. These are the corbels that the applicant referred to that were originally installed underneath the canopy and attached to the facade. This is from the original drawing or architectural renderings for the building. The Venus tree sunburst. So back up just 1 second, Gus. So we don't consider these signage, they're more ornamentation than signage. Okay, next. Same with the sunburst. Commissioner Westcott corrected my bad math. And again, there's a reason why I'm a planner and not an engineer. And so again, this is ornamentation and not signage. So we just look at it in the context of the building. Is it detracting from the historic nature of the building? Next. These are the hanging decorations. These would be installed along the 9th Street facade and then again on the end of, or in, yes, at the end of the Main Street facades as well. So the height here is probably 12 feet, the sidewalk slope. So as the slope increases, so does the height. But they all exceed 9 feet, which is the minimum required clearance for signage. Even though these are not signage, that's the minimum that we use to make sure that there's adequate clearance over pedestrians' heads.
Could I ask a question about those? And this is more for Drake. These are just decorative elements, or are these sconces that were somewhere on the building and have been replicated, or what are they supposed to?
They're decorative element.
Okay,
And it was just similar to what's on like the Smeltertown Brewery. They have something very similar to that.
okay, thanks.
Okay, then next we have the alley improvements. This again is not something that we would typically review for design review other than it's in the historic district. This just fills in, you can see the reddish areas are where concrete is not. So rather than using more concrete, the applicant is suggesting the use of the decorative brick. Sidewalk cafe permit. So we did quite a bit of work in revising the requirements for a sidewalk cafe permit last year. So what you see before you is the proposed configuration of benches and umbrellas and tables. So the minimum clearance requirement for the sidewalk under ADA is 3 feet. So wherever these land, there has to be a minimum separation of 3 feet. So it's just going to depend upon the width of the bench or the length of the bench that is installed on Main Street and on 9th Street to make sure that between the tables and the chained off area, there'll be stanchions that will enclose that area so that the access is restricted. That will maintain a 3-foot minimum clearance. So that it would conform with ADA.
So I'm spatially challenged along with geographically challenged, and I just looking at this illustration on my computer and trying to open it up. So just for clarification,
Mhm.
the benches will be perpendicular to the run of the street,
Correct.
and from the interior armrest of the bench to the chain is the 3
Minimum of 3
feet.
feet, correct.
Thank you very much.
And then they will parallel the street, the benches will parallel the street on 9th
9th
Street.
Street. Okay.
And
And-
then this is an illustration of the benches and umbrellas that the applicant is proposing.
And I apologize, I don't remember on what page of this report, but this was approved 4 years ago, 5 years ago?
Right,
for the cafe?
right. They had a previous approval, but this is these are different benches and different tables. So we brought them back for additional review. But yes, a sidewalk permit was issued before. Okay, now let's talk about the Arizona Copper Arts Museum. So this is a fairly simple addition and signage to the Copper Arts Museum. Again, the letters add up to the area of the actual individual parts of the letters comprise 10 square feet of additional signage. Those banners that are already there will be lowered to accommodate that additional lettering. This is really hard to see. So basically the letters between these stanchions will spell out Copper Art Museum. So it will be 15 letters, again with the dimensions, or the linear dimensions and the multiplication. We end up at 21 square feet of lettering.
Ruth, can we go back to that one?
Sure.
This isn't a replacement for or a revision of the current signage that you see, I think, on the handrail? Okay. So is that's lettering that's hanging to existing posts, correct? Hanging on existing posts?
On the lettering that's on the handrails, or it's welded in place. Or the letters are attached to a sign backing on the handrails, copper colored.
They are not, or they are attached.
They
to the
are
sign.
attached.
Okay. So in this case, would we typically then just determine the area of the backing?
For this, no, because these don't have backing. I think what you're talking about.
Oh, the current one is copper. You're right. Yeah, the copper. Okay.
Does have backing, this has no backing.
This does replace that?
No,
It does not.
This
So
is
This
in
is in
addition.
addition to. Okay. And these are simply hanging without a backing. Okay.
Okay. Finally, we're on the monument sign. So for this one, we had a 21 square foot area simply because we were going to allow for 21 of the individual little signs. Each one is a square foot. So these, you've seen these other places where it tells you how many miles to Paris or Rome or the North Pole. So the applicant will be selecting certain points of interest, Grand Canyon, whatever, and including those in there. And this is a photo opportunity. He also has the big sign, the big frame that is part of the National Geographic program. That's right, yeah. So this is another opportunity for people to take signage that is tied specifically to Clarkdale. And then finally, this is the allocation of sign area. So we keep track of how much signage somebody is entitled to and how much they have used. So we take the length of the Main Street frontage and the length of the 9th Street frontage and add it together and then multiply by 1.5, which is 327 square feet of signage that the applicant is entitled to. 1.5 square feet is per linear foot is standard across most communities. So we calculate, taken out the 56 square feet of signage that's been proposed, which leaves us with 270 square feet of remaining signage area. So in the future, the applicant can come back if he so desires and ask for additional signage. The Arizona Copper Art Museum, same calculations. We've deducted the 332 square feet of previously approved existing signage, which leaves them with, prior to this application, left a remaining balance of 293 square feet. This packet proposes 47 square feet, so we just deduct that, and now there is 246 square feet of additional signage remaining for the Arizona Copper Art Museum. So this is just a reiteration of what we have in the staff report, that basically the short answer is staff recommends approval. They meet all of the requirements, the manner and placement requirements for signage, and it meets the requirements for a sidewalk cafe permit. So I'd be happy to answer any questions. The applicant is here. He can also ask any questions you may have.
Any questions
Matt.
from the other commissioners?
So the sign, what did we call it? The directional sign or? Which one is
Yes.
it?
Oh,
That one.
The monuments.
So sometimes I'm a little too concrete. So there won't be a sign that will tell people how many miles it is to Lisbon. There would be a sign that said how many miles there is to the Grand Canyon. This is just an example.
Yes.
Correct. Good. Thank you. It's like, really?
And where exactly will this sign go?
It's very close to the monument sign on the corner of the building, just right in near the parking lot, I should say.
Out. Or,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Oh, and the other, not the TF Miller building
This-
site. Okay,
Copper Museum.
gotcha.
It's sort of a fun sign. That's, people like those fun signs, a photo spot. People like interactive sundial signs where they can stand and the sun shines. It's that interactive stuff. It's meant to do one thing, for people to take a photograph of, text it to somebody else, and then they say, hey, okay, now I see where you're at, and remember, and bring people to town and remember about Clarkdale and the museum and things like that.
Oh, I thought this would take longer. I don't know if any of what I'm about to say is necessary since nobody else seems to have any questions. But I will say there are several preservation briefs about historic signs. And they do talk about encouraging a diversity of signs as opposed to replicating old signs. So you've covered that, I think, really good, Drake, with what you said about kind of how you guys came up with your concept. But the guidance does talk a lot about scaling to the building, which I think we've talked about. That's in the code. Not obscuring important aspects of the building, character defining aspects. I think from the drawings, at least from my opinion, that seems clear. Although I will say, as the design for the facade comes in, I think looking at the signs again would just be a prudent thing to do. Not overpowering adjacent buildings. I think it's clear to me, at least, it doesn't do that. And consideration for the materials that are being used based on the period of significance for the building. So I just wanted to mention that as people are thinking about what we've talked about.
And I just had one question about the sunburst, even though it's not on the roof, it goes above the roof.
Mhm.
And the code addresses addresses, says you can't affix a sign to the roof,
Right.
right? So it doesn't matter that it goes above. the
Doesn't matter that
facade.
those
Okay.
project above, it's that you can't affix it to the roof,
Okay,
right? Because this is the parapet.
and it doesn't obscure the parapet. I like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nobody asked, but I'm going to throw it out there anyways. I thank you for clarifying the influence for the type of font or the lettering. And it's definitely innovative and it's definitely experimental. It's creative and it attracts attention. It's kind of difficult to read. And so if it hasn't been fabricated yet, I would just throw out that not every point needs to be a curly Q. But I totally get it and I respect it and appreciate it. It's just something difficult to read.
Hard to read or,
Yeah,
oh, it's too small or?
no, it's just the undulating factors to each letter and especially since they're all caps,
Oh,
it's difficult to read. Just literally to visually process. But I totally get the inspiration and the innovation and I respect that. Just throwing in my 2 cents.
I would, just a similar concern, because I'm sure the facade diagram, which does appear very readable, where it says the Venus tree, but I'm sure that if we were to zoom in microscopically to that logo, it's not in the font that the actual signs are.
Right.
So I do have that concern that, you know, what about it when you are 30, 40, 50, 70, 100 feet away? Will they be easily readable? I don't know. But I
So,
can see where there's the potential for them not to be. Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with Historic Preservation Commission or any of that. I'm just throwing it out that the letters undulate and that's difficult to visually process. But I love the inspiration.
we can't regulate font.
Right. Right.
No. And I appreciate the way that you couched it so that it is not directing, just suggesting.
Are the, is the font reasonably well replicated on the museum diagram?
Yes. Yeah, they're identical letters.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Because that helps a little bit. Yeah.
I couldn't get the program to work as well on that building. So the font is going to be darker than what you see. They're not darker, but more bold, I should say, on the building. It's not going to be sort of a off color there.
Right,
I just
right.
couldn't get it to work out on that one.
The two signs.
It's going to be much bolder than what's up.
Shapes of the letters more or less replicate
Yeah.
the close-up of the mock-up you had done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Commissioner Mala, did you have anything you wanted to say? Did you have anything that you wanted to say? You started to.
I was just going to say that the two signs tie the two buildings together because the signs are, similar.
Mhm.
Does anyone else have questions or comments for Ruth or for the applicant? Well, according to the agenda, we have discussed and considered, and I guess it's time to act now. So we are just voting to approve, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I move that we approve the proposal for the signage on the Venus tree and the Copper Museum.
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Okay, additional new business, meeting time for the commission. Recommendations for meeting times.
So this board meets at the latest time of any other board. Town council, even their regular meeting on the second Tuesday of the month starts at 6 o'clock. Planning commission starts at 4:30. So if the board so chooses, we can adjust the start time from 6:30 to another time. And I would invite you to discuss whether you want to keep 6:30, go to 6 o'clock, go to 4:30, or if you want to do 4:45, any other time.
I'll just start by saying that I have to work until 4:30, and so 5:36 would be okay for me.
I'm certainly open to meeting a little earlier. That would be easier, and I'm more flexible than the chair is, so 4:30 or 5 would be fine with me.
I would recommend a start time of 5 or 5:30 as well.
Would you prefer 5:30? Yeah, I mean, if that's preferable, I'd be fine with that. That's still an hour prior to our, current.
Okay, so would the commission like to make a motion and a second and vote?
Well, you move this.
I move that the commission starts meeting at 5:30.
I second that.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Future agenda items, anything that anyone would like to put on that list? Just as a reminder, we have our ongoing signage project. And then we do have discussions about funding for signs as well as potential grant assistance. So we do have 3 things on our list already.
Is the plan for us to continue meeting every 2 weeks, work session?
That's a good question. And I would maybe kick it back out to everyone to see if we still need to do that. I know that we've slowed down a little bit and there's been some questions about sort of what direction we're moving in with signs.
I would like to recommend that we cease meeting every 2 weeks for work sessions on the historic marker project until we understand what our responsibilities are, to what degree we're to fulfill those responsibilities, and when or if there would be funding for the project.
I agree with that.
Fine with that.
Staff can make that adjustment to the schedule. Staff can make that adjustment to the schedule, sorry.
Thank you. Is there anything else before we adjourn? Okay, movement to adjourn.
Take it away.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
I'll second that.
Awesome. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
meeting is adjourned.